Well. Bet you didn't expect a video today since we says there wasn't going to be a scheme team plays, but in fact, I've always got a trick up my sleeve. So, what have I brought you? Well, I'll tell you. So this week on the podcast, which is on Wednesday, we're talking about music, and we happen to talk about gigs. And young Christopher asked us, what gigs have you put on in your life if you have? And me and Josh turned around and went, well, if we get a story for you. In fact, in 2017, we put on a gig, and you might not believe it, but we have the proof. We put on a gig at Nice N Sleazy's with the Snuts. Yes, the Snuts as headliners. Now, we always joke and say it's our claim to fame, but really it is. So, I happen to have the poster, a very shitty poster, from that gig right here, that you can see. The Snuts, Nice N Sleazy, £7 for a ticket, with Seaside Sons and Up in Smoke. It was part of City of Glasgow College's Creative City Festival 2017. And we go into a bit of a conversation about it in the podcast, me and Josh. Josh is very good at telling the old story, but I was going through some of my old files and I just so happened to find an interview that I did with the Snuts back in 2017 before the gig. And it was unreleased. I mean, technically it was released if you listened to City Radio that one time where it was played, but other than that, I don't think anybody's heard it. So I thought, since the Snuts literally just came back to live performances during the weekend with the Red and Leeds Festival, and they're playing Transmit in September, I just thought, why not? But in case that wasn't enough proof, here's the Snuts literally telling you that they played the gig.
Hiya, we're the Snuts and we're playing City Glasgow College Creative Festival
at Nice N Sleazy's on the 5th of March.
I've not got that anywhere. Can you stole it?
Tell you. So first of all, I think, what will I do? Well, I'll show yous the clip for the podcast where we tell the story and then give yous the interview. Aye, I think I'll do that. I'll let Josh take it for here.
Gigs. Let's talk about gigs. Anyone experienced with putting gigs on and stuff like that?
All of us.
Breaking records.
Yeah, and we've all heard the famous. I don't know how many times. Like, a bit of context if you don't know. I never went to college with any of these people. I kind of tagged in on the end. But the story I've heard the fucking most out about everyone is this Snuts story.
I didn't even get to see them. You fucking
this
one!
one!
I didn't even get to see them.
I was like, where the fuck's Caitlin going? That gig right there, I've heard so many fucking stories about it. Let me guess who done the graphic.
I kept it.
Who did?
It's in here somewhere as well. I've still got mine but I moved house, so
I've still got mine, but they're in my old room.
It's in a box somewhere.
Yeah. So do you want to talk briefly? Let's keep it.
Briefly, right, so basically.
So just explain, because I mean we can talk about this for ages.
Aye, we could. HNC Radio, we had to put on a gig, right? For whatever reason, I had no radio fucking connections whatsoever, but we had to do a gig. And me and Caitlin, I remember sitting in that class, we were fucking through Twitter trying to find. Jay Sinman get mentioned at first, right? This was before he get any massive event, right? This was just before he get big. And we're like, I can't do Jay Sinman, that'll be too much. And then we're scrolling through it, and Caitlin was like, does that say the Snuts? What the fuck's a snut? we ended up messaging them. We seen they had a wee decent following, so we messaged them like, "You's up for playing this gig?" And they'd done it for like £75 plus a rider, and the rider was like a case of dark fruits, and that was it. That's
classic indie boys, classic.
No, they asked for Bucky, but
No, wasn't it? It was £60, mate.
Oh, fuck, sorry, I'm getting
£60.
I'm counting inflation, right? So £60. Got to put the VAT on it. Inflation. So it was £60, right?
I can't remember how much I paid my band.
They played, and then we got a band called Seaside Sons. They played for free. And then we had Up in Smoke that played. There's a side story about Up in Smoke, but
but we'll just focus on the main parts. Yeah,
they done it for the same prices. I think they done it for about 50 or something like that. Right? Anyway, and then, so we done the night, and we told the Snuts, I said, "Oh fuck, that's my tickets I've got," and they came back to us a day later asking for them more tickets because they sold them all. They sold out in like a day because they had that big a following, and we broke, what was it? Record for ticket sales, record for profit, record for money taken
Are
in.
you done the best?
All the records, mate. All the records.
The records. I won't lie,
All the
right? I
records.
won't lie. We had
All
a
the
massive
I mean,
helping
I
hand,
went to that gig.
considering we spent no money on it. Speakers and drums were free. Riders were all donated. Alex made the sandwiches on a 50p budget, and they were described
Oh my
as, I
God.
believe the boy from Seaside Sons called them tainted.
The tainted sandwiches.
That was it. That was the
Cool
gig.
meeting them.
Some story in it, and Josh is pretty phenomenal at telling it. See if you ever meet us, you ever want to know, ask Josh to tell you the story. It's quite funny. Some things that haven't been mentioned that happened behind the scenes. No with the Snuts, just the gig in general. Holly was very drunk. It was great. But we had the records for that entire like festival type thing that we did. We've got the most profit, we've got the most tickets sold, we've got the most attendance and all that jazz. So as far as we're aware, since 2017 nobody's bet that record. So if you go to City Glasgow College or you're in the City Radio team and you've bet that record or you want to beat that record, let us know and give it a try. But I just don't think you can.
And like the sun and being drowned in the sea, you not know something that steal your heart. It's your portal into your secret towns I
Back when we had the Snuts playing, the Snuts had only released 3 singles. They'd released Glasgow, Proper, and Sing For Your Supper. And you look at the stuff they've released now, there's fucking hundreds of it. And not one of them is a bad tune. They're all class. And this isn't me being biased. I highly recommend you go and check them out if you've not heard them before. I'll leave links down below for their Spotify and their website and stuff like that. But my personal favourite is Coffee and Cigarettes. So if you want to give that a bash, on you go. In terms of the interview was back in 2017, a couple of weeks before the concert, or the gig, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, Jack wasn't there because Jack was working. Jack was at work. So we had Jordan, Callum and Joe were there, and I got to sit down with them and ask them couple of questions, which you'll hear in a minute, but it's just phenomenal to see how far the Snuts have come since we knew them. And big up, lads, it's some fucking job. Feel a wee bit of pride, even though they're older. Anyway, enough reminiscing. Here's the interview.
Hi, I'm Callum for the Snuts.
Hey, I'm Joe for the Snuts.
I'm Joko for the Snuts.
How did you meet?
We were all at school together.
Aye,
So-
that was it. They were from our primary school. He was in my class, he was in our primary class. He was in the other primary class. There was only 2. No, I couldn't, I was 3.
And then Jack started playing guitar when he was in like second year, and me and Joko, well, I played guitar already and he already played drums. And
Then they needed a
Aye,
bassist,
we needed
so
a
I learned
bass
bass.
and we only had one other pal, so
Aye, so that was it with Rarity Folk. Couldn't afford the synth player.
aye, one of these days.
Aye, but that's it. We played together when we were like really young, like 15, then to like 17, but we were
Shambolic.
aye, shambolic to say the least. Aye, it wasn't really we weren't prepared for what we were doing. And then we just decided, Jack kinda Jamie in the corner, lurking over there. He kinda fronted Jack to get 2 recordings done, just songs that he liked. And there was another boy played on them, and then when we heard other folk playing on them, we were like, we could just play on them, and then it'd be sound, and then it kind of grew arms and legs, and
We've all just kind of jumped on Jack's coattails, to be honest.
I was trying to cling to him for dear life. He's a talent, like we're just a hired band. He writes all the songs and that, like the lyrics, and we kind of bring our own stuff in. We've only got 3 songs recorded now: Glasgow Proper and Sing for Your Supper. They're all on Spotify.
Playing Glasgow live is probably one of the best ones to play live.
Aye.
Just because people know it.
It's got a lot of hits on Spotify and all by it. I can't believe that. Well, I can't believe it because it's a good tune. Just the reaction it's got, man. No, a lot, especially for like through everything.
20,000 now, and it's kind of constantly creeping up. It's not just like it jumped up in one go and stopped. It's kind of constantly going up.
I know, man.
It's
You
a few
always talk
thousand
about
everything.
folk wanting to never make money off Spotify, but we made more money off Spotify than we've ever made off a gig. It's amazing. I'm doing more off Spotify than a month. You know what I mean? It's mental, it's class though. It's really good. I think if it keeps going that way, then folk can't ignore it. You know what I mean? Like if folk are listening to it, then it doesn't matter if you fit into a particular scene or that. Like, because it always seems there is a couple of scenes, like it's always music scenes, and you have to fit into that scene for folk to like your songs. But folk that like techno, like hundreds of your fans on mad techno heads.
Usually the only folk going to gigs are the ones with like the skinny jeans and the long hair and that.
And the black little jacket.
We're trying to avoid it being like that. We're wanting it to spread it to
for normal folk. We didn't want it to be for the young team. We didn't want it to be a select group of folk have to like the tunes, and I didn't think it should have to be about being cool or being anything like that. It should just be your tunes are good. You know what I mean? It's no. And it's been the way Jack writes tunes. I think it's different to how anybody else writes songs in them. Man, everybody's. It's kind of got the formula. It's for everybody. Folk can relate to them, and I think that when you can make it what he's saying. But once we get lyric sheets, folk will start relating to them.
Someone walked up to the wee bit that we were all smoking fags at one day and went, "Hey, it's Jack and the Snuts," and then Jack started smoking fags too, so it became the Snuts.
I didn't smoke, so I shouldn't really be Callum and the Snuts, but it's not got the same ring here.
I feel like we need to keep it going now, just because it's
the lung cancer's worth it.
Putting my health on the line for the band.
It's definitely better left unsaid.
It's a daft name, but they can't change it now.
It's not getting changed.
We were trending in the UK on Twitter. That's mental. It's like, how's that? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that should happen. But can it get shit? Because it was just folk talking about you all the time, and folk, like I said, I don't think when folk are talking about you, if your videos are on Twitter and that's what Jack always says, if your videos are on Twitter, your gigs are banging, your tunes are good, and your plays are constantly going up, because nobody really buys music anymore. It's all about streams, playlists, and it's just the way it is.
It's all pirated.
So as long as that's going up, folk can't ignore you. That's just the way you need to think it. You don't need to fit in.
As long as you keep doing the good gigs.
Be ignored, but keep doing the good gigs, keep getting good things. Then
the bosses.
You just need to have the right attitude. Definitely.
Like the most valued point is just to kind of enjoy ourselves.
That's what it comes down to more than anything.
Make it like kind of personally get in touch with people who are coming to listen to us and things like that, and make ourselves known.
You want to be in with all the folk that want to come and see you, because the folk that are actually interested in you, if you start, like, I don't know, we especially Jack makes it kind of easy to have like a personal relationship with like every single one of your fans, man. It's mental. His Facebook mail's going for about 8 pages. But I just we want to get a we spoke about trying to get a 5-track EP ready for kind of the end of the year, proper done, like sorted, and then see where it kind of goes from there. But up to the end, we just want to kind of screw the nut and just keep playing gigs and maybe try and get some studio time in and keep folk interested.
Make sure we have a good time. Make sure everybody else is coming to see us having a good time. That's the main thing.
We didn't want it to
be dull.
That's
it.
Hi, we're the Snuts.
This is Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Well, there you have it. An unreleased interview with the Snuts for back in 2017. Now, I know yous probably aren't listening, boys, but if yous are, well done, yous are doing fucking phenomenal. Like, we might be having a joke in here and there, but we are very fucking proud of what yous have done and how far yous have came in such a short amount of time for that gig. But we're doing the Scheme Team podcast. It goes up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And obviously we've got the video podcast that go up on the YouTube channel. If you ever fancy it, the offer's there. Come and do an interview with us. Come and join us on the podcast. Whatever you feel like, just shoot us a message. You know we're always going to be fans anyway. Thanks for watching. Make sure to tune out the podcast on Wednesday, and make sure that you go and stream the Snuts debut album anywhere that you want to get it. Better yet, buy the thing.
Well, tell me sunshine when there's blood upon your sleeve. And I've heard the thunder and I'm sure that it's hurt me. I watch my worries shine a hole and see the sea. I feel this way.